In the South Bay, preparations are underway ahead of the winter storm season. Santa Clara County and San Jose city leaders are urging residents to have a plan just in case of flooding. Kron 4's Gail Ong continues our team coverage right now. She's live in San Jose. Looks like they're getting ready right now.
We're at one of the sandbag stations. This is a Valley Water sandbag station, one of 5 across Santa Clara County. Sandbags are free, and notice it's mostly dry and a nice day here in the South Bay. Well, the message is to take advantage of these dry days while we have them before the winter season. Local leaders are urging residents to prepare for the worst. Wednesday morning, crews with the Santa Clara Valley Water District showing us the proper way to fill and set up sandbags to prevent homes or businesses from water damage.
You want to place them kind of like bricks?
We are expecting to see a couple solid storms roll through that can and probably will cause flooding in certain areas.
Brian Garcia with the National Weather Service Bay Area office, along with Valley Water and the mayor of San Jose, encouraging residents to prepare for the winter season. Valley Water says one of the top priorities is removing debris from the creeks year-round.
Valley Water's projects have improved flood protection for more than 100,000 homes, businesses, and properties. However, parts of Santa Clara County still remain susceptible to flooding. That's why it's important to plan in the event of a flood or other emergency.
Plans like knowing where to go in case of an emergency and having a go bag ready with items you see here. Mayor Matt Mahan is also urging residents to do their part.
If you're a property owner, you can keep the curb and gutter next to your property free of debris, including leaves that can block storm inlets. For all residents, if you see backed up storm drains, trees, or tree limbs that have blown down, or any other storm-related hazard in the roadway, please call our dispatch line.
Preparation starts with you not only getting your go bags ready, not only knowing your threats across your region as well as where you work, but also signing up for those alerts.
And back here live, as you can see, Valley Water crews, they are filling these sandbags, but residents usually fill them up themselves. But during those strong storms we should be receiving this winter, they should have some ready to go, and people can just drive up to one of these distribution lots and grab some sandbags, whatever they need. And as you heard from that National Weather Service meteorologist, never too early to receive alerts from your city and county, and also have that emergency plan in place. Reporting here in San Jose, Gail Ong, Kron 4 News.
Gail, thank you. And stay with us here on Kron 4 on air and online for your weather coverage. You can find the current conditions and the weather headlines on our website, kron4.com.
You know, just some ponding on the parking lot. We're here at Johnson's Beach. This is an area that typically gets flooded. I'll step out of the way so you can get a better view here. You know, we're really not worried about the big rivers for this system just yet. There's still a lot of capacity, but the water is forecast to rise about 10 to 20 feet by this weekend, and the general manager of Johnson's Beach says he is ready for that. He has sandbags in place, preparations in place. We do several stories here about flooding and upcoming storms, so people here are well aware on how to prepare for major storms. We did see people walking along the water there. Looks like they had left, though, but what you're looking at now, just some ponding on this parking lot. We've definitely seen it worse as, you know, we see the series of storms throughout the season where the water does block some of those signs. But other than that, you know, the rain has been coming down. The wind is starting to pick up. Not a whole lot of people out, just people who work here, and, you know, the one person that was walking around the water. I will say, you know, Teresa was out reporting on the roads. It was pretty treacherous over on I-80 and 101 just getting to this location. You know, poor visibility, ponding on the roadways. But right here, pretty calm for now. It's really those small urban creeks and streams around Sonoma County and everywhere under that flood watch, you know, in your neighborhood. Those are the areas the National Weather Service and emergency responders are worried about. But here, rain is coming down. We're keeping an eye on the conditions out here. That is the situation here live from Guerneville. Justine.
Gail, thank you so much.
Parts of the North Bay, as we were mentioning, starting to finally see a break from all the heavy stuff. But as Lawrence mentioned, they're still dealing with the flooding.
Kron 4's Gail Ong gives us a closer look in Sonoma County.
Driving along Star Road near West Mark Station Road in Windsor, vineyards and driveways submerged in water. A few miles across town, the Windsor Golf Course underwater, turning into a lake. This after days of relentless rain from an atmospheric river flooding parts of Sonoma County and the North Bay. In Santa Rosa, record rain swamped local roads like this known trouble spot, River Road and Slusser Road, where one man lost his car. The car has since been towed away, but we found this man watching a friend get stuck near the same area.
Yeah, she called me to help her. I said, I can't go through here. It's 3 feet deep. They put that sign right there. I mean, if you look, it says 3 feet. It's about this deep right there. I mean, if you don't have a big monster truck, you're not going to go by it right there.
Most of the flooding problems happened at creeks like Mark West Creek, but concerns now about the Russian River rising this weekend. The first significant storm of the season also triggered mudslides in and around the North Bay. Locals plan to stay on top of preparations before the next storm. And driving in and around rural Sonoma County, you can expect several road closures like this one due to flooded streets until further notice. Reporting here in Santa Rosa, Gail Ong, Kron 4 News.
5 people who have died in the Eaton fire in Altadena.
Our Kron 4's Gail Ong joins us now live from the newsroom with the latest. What can you tell us?
Vicki Grant, the Palisades and Eaton fires, the largest of the several fires burning in Southern California, have burned at least 32,000 acres at last check, both zero containment, and more than 10,000 structures, many of them homes, have burned in the fires. From above, dozens of blocks flattened to smoldering rubble in the Pacific Palisades community. On the ground, homeowners surveying the devastation for the first time Thursday.
Why did you decide to walk up here today? I wanted to document the damage and contact my insurance company as soon as I could, and just begin the process of everything, because, you know, I have a dirt lot and a chimney.
The Palisades and Eaton fires, the largest of several in the Los Angeles area, ravaged communities.
Just heartbreaking.
Carry something out, there's no water, there's no power.
As of Thursday afternoon, at least 4,000 structures have been damaged or destroyed from the Eaton fire in Altadena.
That was Altadena's prime post office up there, and right next to it was Pizza Joe's, which was a standard in the neighborhood. And it's just heartbreaking to see, because it feels like just the heart of Altadena has just been destroyed.
These residents' home spared, but their neighbors?
There's a house 500 feet away that just burned to the ground. So it's just no pattern. It's just random, but
Just chimneys and things smoldering, and then the next door there's a house that's still intact.
The fast-moving fire has forced thousands of people to evacuate. 5 people have died from the fires. Cadaver dogs and search crews are searching through the rubble, and the death toll is expected to rise.
It is safe to say that the Palisades fire is one of the most destructive natural disasters in the history of Los Angeles.
And we are not out of the woods yet down in Southern California. We can expect critical fire weather conditions to persist. Red flag warnings are in effect until at least tomorrow evening, and another offshore wind event expected next week. Those gusty Santa Ana winds expected to make a return, keeping those conditions dry, and that could impact the firefight out there. In the newsroom, Gail Ong, Kron 4 News.
Gail, thank you.
Joins us live in the studio with local reaction. Gail?
Stephanie, we checked in with our local law enforcement in our major Bay Area cities, San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose police, who say they are all monitoring the tragic situation in New Orleans, and all say while there is no credible threat in their cities, the public is advised to stay vigilant. New Year's celebrations turned into terror in New Orleans as a truck plowed into people on the famed Bourbon Street, killing at least 15 people, injuring at least 30.
The city of New Orleans was impacted by a terrorist attack.
The FBI is investigating the attack as an act of terrorism. Investigators recovered an Islamic State group flag and says the truck driver was a U.S. citizen from Texas. He was killed in a shootout with police.
3 of our officers engaged this terrorist who shot at them. 3 of the officers returned fire. Those officers did not run in fear.
New Orleans Police Chief Ann Kirkpatrick, who also used to be Oakland's police chief, says the officers are recovering. The FBI believes the driver did not act alone. Meantime, back in the Bay Area,
it's scary.
The news of the attack is on people's minds, like Cody Larkin and Maddie Boston.
It's really scary, and it's sad that we live in a place where this is something that we have to think about.
Honestly, one of the first thoughts I had was when I was just thinking about how many people were out celebrating. Now it just makes me more anxious about crowds. Just now going through any type of really crowded space and thinking, okay, is this going to be targeted because there's a lot of people here? It's not what you want.
Governor Gavin Newsom's office released a statement in response to the New Orleans attack that reads in part, quote, "The State Threat Assessment Center is on heightened alert, closely coordinating and sharing information with partner law enforcement agencies."
And Governor Gavin Newsom adds there is no credible threat to the state in any major events at this time, but our local law enforcement agencies here in the Bay Area are asking the public to remain vigilant and to always report any suspicious activity. Gail Ong, Kron 4 News.
Welcome back to Kron 4 News at noon. We are continuing to follow the earthquake that struck a little before noontime. 7.0 magnitude quake off the coast of Eureka and Humboldt County. Scared a lot of people here in the Bay because a tsunami warning was issued. Fortunately, that was lifted at 11:49.
And they said to stay away from the water, but now that it's safe, we are going out to the water. Our Gail Long is at Ocean Beach right now. Gail, what does it look like?
Well, it's pretty empty for a day like this. So take a look. Ocean Beach is right behind me here. Earlier, during that tsunami warning, no cars were allowed. Law enforcement had several roads blocked off around this area. And as you can see, there's a few people walking along the beach, even over close to the water there. But yeah, a different story about an hour and a half ago where this was completely empty. Law enforcement and first responders are taking extra precaution. Of course, the neighborhoods and these low-lying areas really close to the water. So what we have been seeing is I've been talking to people out here where our vantage point where I'm standing, I'm over at Sutro Heights Park. A lot of people have been taking pictures of the beach, of the water. A lot of people I spoke with say they were not worried because they do live uphill higher up in the city, and they took it seriously, but since they are in higher land, that they weren't too worried about it. That's the situation here. There are still some road closures around San Francisco just as a precaution. As you can see, cars are now back here close to the beach, but yes, normally this would be crowded with surfers, with people, even on a weekday like this, I'm told, people would just be out and about here, but very empty, and that is the situation out here live at Ocean Beach. Back to you in the studio.
Gail, how long you've been there, and what has the sense been from people you've been speaking with? Was there any real concern, and did those folks come from lower lying land?
You know, the people I spoke with here lived higher up. They lived on the hill, so they were not too concerned. But earlier, we've been here for about an hour, and there was a crowd earlier where people were just taking a look out here. But most of the people I have been talking with, you know, they say they live uphill, but they are from longtime San Francisco residents, so they do know the hazards that come with living over by the coast. And since they do live uphill, they weren't too worried about this. And as we know with these tsunami warnings, that's what you want to do, is you want to run inland in the highest elevation you could find. But that is what the sense is here. Pretty empty here at the park and the beach. But I think, you know, the main takeaway is that definitely want to take something like this seriously, whether you live uphill or not, because, you know, on a really nice day like this, it was not, you wouldn't, you know, you just never know what could come if we get a big earthquake up north. All right, Gail, for our viewers, they know you as a reporter, and just this week you got your meteorologist seal. Interesting timing that you should be having to deal with something like this. Do you study this sort of thing in anticipation of what we need to convey to people? Yeah, absolutely. Just completed a 3-year program with Mississippi State for a broadcast of meteorology, and that is something that is in our studies, and we study even San Francisco coastal weather, all the natural hazards possible, tsunami. You know, we definitely look into tsunamis as well. And, you know, I have done stories here in the Bay Area. We had a tsunami advisory not too long ago, and we've had a tsunami warning that impacted the Santa Cruz area, and that did cause some damage. I know our chief meteorologist, Lawrence, was talking about that. But, you know, there are risks. There are signs in neighborhoods, coastal neighborhoods around the Bay Area, that there are tsunami warnings here. So people who live, in those areas, just based on past stories, they do know the drill. They do a lot of any weather-related event. You definitely have to have a go bag, whether we're here, earthquakes are not related to the weather, but we are familiar with earthquakes, and people who live by the coast, they know the risk of tsunamis could happen. That hazard has always been there, and of course, we deal with wildfires. So just any weather-related or natural hazards, you have to be prepared.
All right, meteorologist Gail Ong live for us along Ocean Beach. That sounds good. Congratulations, Gail, on all the work that you've done, and thank you for that live report.
All right, so just to recap, because we're about out of time, 7.0 earthquake off the north coast. So far, we're not receiving any reports of any damage. There was a tsunami warning that has been lifted. A lot of rattled nerves, but so far, so good. An opportunity, certainly, to know what to do if and when the next big one hits. We have our Governor Newsom, who's holding a press conference shortly, and we'll be covering all of that in the later newscast.
We'll see you at 4, 5, and 6. Live in the Bay is next. Have a good afternoon.
And next we go to Ocean Beach in San Francisco. Kron 4's Gail Ong is on site there. Gail, how are things looking out there now?
Well, things are calm. It's business as usual here at Ocean Beach. Beach is right behind me. Normally, this would be covered with people, surfers and beachgoers, but it is essentially a ghost town. This was blocked off earlier during that tsunami warning. The law enforcement and first responders blocked off about much of the Great Highway as far as the eye could see, just so no one goes near the water. Want to take extra precautions there. I did speak to people here, and people who live closer on the lower land, of course, they know the drill about where to head to higher ground, head inland if a tsunami warning does come up. And then I have been talking to people who weren't as concerned because they live uphill in San Francisco. But I did speak to a retired firefighter, a San Francisco firefighter for 30 years. I retired about 10 years ago. He lives in this neighborhood. He told me the main takeaway is to just heed these types of warnings. We do get them every once in a while here. The hazard is here, especially the coastal communities. So in his line of work, he really just says that I know some people, we get these warnings and then when they see nothing happens, but he wants people to take it seriously, have a plan in place, so that go bag, evacuation plans in place, a meetup in place. But back here live, the situation is just calm and not a lot of people out here, maybe 2 surfers out here in the ocean right now. But yeah, pretty slow day here at the beach, where normally it would be covered with so many people on a really nice day like today. But we certainly are glad that this didn't materialize from that warning. Nothing materialized from that warning, because yeah, you just really never know. But I think the main takeaway is to be prepared. Live at Ocean Beach, Gail Ong, Kron 4 News.
Gail, thank you so much.